So that's one of the things that you would change in Norfolk if you're elected is having a prosecutor be out at a scene, at every murder scene.
Every murder scene, there should be a prosecutor there. There should be a prosecutor helping with the search warrant.
When else should prosecutors be out on a scene?
Whenever the police ask for it.
Yeah.
And right now the police, they can call a phone number and ask a question, but for getting a trained prosecutor to come, and I don't care what the crime is, it can be a low-level crime, and I've done that. Mm-hmm. I've gone out and assisted on writing search warrants on low-level crimes if the police want it, whenever they want. And the police, once they realize we have this resources available, it's a benefit to the police and it's a benefit to the prosecution, because a search warrant written by a prosecutor who's trained is much more likely going to stand up in court, and we're not going to lose the evidence. That's the benefit of having a prosecutor writing the search warrants, because we hear about cases being overturned on technicalities. There's a lot of
search warrant technicalities a lot of times.
There's all sorts of slips and mistakes that you can make in writing a search warrant.
Right. And much as the police do a good job at what they're doing and they try the best they can, they are not trained prosecutors, and they don't really.
And they don't have the time.
And right.
It takes a lot of work.
Yeah.
So let the police conduct their investigation as much as they can while a prosecutor on the scene is writing the search warrant for the place that needs to be searched and is there available. There was one murder in Arlington where I wrote the search warrant for the scene. That led to evidence where we had to search the car. I was right there. It's pretty much the same search warrant with some additional details. That led to searching another location. So one search warrant may lead to another, but to have somebody on the scene is an invaluable assistance to the police, and we know the evidence.
Yeah.
We can be sure it's not going to be lost or excluded.
Just so our viewers know, so you're out on the scene, you write the search warrant. What do you do with it then?
I'm not sure I understand.
Well, I mean, it has to be approved by a magistrate of some sort, doesn't it?
Right.
Yes.
Clerk, magistrate,
so
or a judge.
Where do you find the guy at 2 o'clock in the morning?
There's always a judge on call.
Yeah.
And there's always the same clerk magistrate who can go and bail people out from the police station in the middle of the night is available. So there's always somebody on call.
And they can approve search warrants?
They can approve search warrants.
Okay. Well, a lot of people wouldn't know that.
Right.
Where you find the guy? Where do you find the judge or magistrate who's
But sometimes the search warrant evidence has been excluded because the wrong piece of paper is stapled to it was just the wrong staple was used.
Yeah.
So you need somebody. Let the police worry about their investigation. Let somebody who's trained worry about the search warrant. Mm-hmm. That's a resource Norfolk County needs. It's one that Middlesex has had, and I want to bring that to Norfolk County.
Well, the DA's office also prosecutes white-collar crime too, don't they?
All crimes. The district attorney is responsible for every single criminal case in the county. From the lowest level traffic case to murder.
Yeah. And those of you, you prosecute in both district and superior courts.
Correct.
And there's only one superior court in Norfolk, isn't there?
That's right.
In Dedham.
In Dedham.
But there's how many district
There's
courts?
5 district courts.
5. Quincy,
Dedham,
Rentham,
Brookline, Stoughton, and Rentham.
Stoughton, we're all familiar with where that is. We just actually, I believe, stole a judge out of there, didn't we?
I'm not sure what you mean.
Judge Crimmins, who used to be in Stoughton District Court, is now our Stoughton town manager.
Oh.
So Stoughton District Court got a new judge. Yeah, but we're happy to have Judge Crimmins on board town. You as a prosecutor, the other 2 candidates being politicians, what type of influence can the DA's office have on the legislature in terms of getting laws written and passed that the DA's office feels necessary? Changes in laws that must occur over a period of time, things that haven't come up before.
I can give you a big example.
Yeah, some examples of where the interaction might occur.
In 2008, after a lot of work by victim rights groups and other people, the legislature passed Jessica's Law.
Jessica's Law.
Or a form of Jessica's Law, which is laws targeted against child sex predators, the worst child sex predators, people who've committed the offense before, people who committed under heinous circumstances. It created minimum mandatory prison sentences sometimes 10 years for some crimes, sometimes 15 years for some crimes. That part of the law is a good thing. I firmly believe child sex abusers need to go to prison for a long time because they are the offenders least amenable to treatment. It's very difficult to treat them.
And that's been proven by study after study.
Study after study.
Yeah.
And they are also likely to reoffend if they have access to the victims that they like. So the only way we can be sure they're not going to abuse another child is to incarcerate them. So that would be a priority of mine. It's what I've been doing for 7 years, incarcerating child sexual abusers.
Is our law strong enough in Massachusetts?
Well, yes and no. Right now in Massachusetts, forcible child rape. This is somebody, we're not talking about an 18-year-old who has a 15-year-old girlfriend,
right,
and they're having...
Yeah, no, we're talking
about somebody who forces
yeah,
rape upon a child. There is no minimum mandatory prison sentence. I think there should be. I think there should be. There's Jessica's law, which for certain kinds of child rapists imposes a minimum mandatory sentence. But for example, if a 23-year-old man forcibly rapes a 14-year-old girl, Jessica's law doesn't apply, and there's no minimum mandatory sentence. Jessica's law might apply if he has a prior conviction for that, but so there's an aspect of Massachusetts law I think could be made appropriate.
Yeah.
Mandatory sentences. But Jessica's law was passed in 2008. In 2009, as you said at the beginning, the first trial conviction under Jessica's law happened. I was the prosecutor.
Congratulations.
It was a case of a 10-year-old girl. She walked into that courtroom and she was very solemn. She knew the job she had to do. She had been, we'd met with her many times to talk to her, but she was alone. Her mother, her sister, other family members were also witnesses, and they were excluded from the courtroom.
Right,
So she walked in because they're witnesses. She walked in all by herself. She took the stand. She did a fabulous job. She endured the cross-examination from the defendant's lawyer, and he was convicted. And he really earned Jessica's law because she was not his first child victim. He had abused a child before that.
Had he been tried on that?
I think he pleaded guilty. I think he pleaded guilty on that. So there's 2 points to make here. Jessica's law was passed in 2008, and you ask about what influence district attorneys can have. The district attorneys, as soon as Jessica's law was passed in 2008, said to the legislature, you made a mistake, you got a problem here, because we have in Massachusetts sex offender registry. If you're a convicted sex offender, then you have to register as a sex offender, and you get classified as level 1, level 2, level 3. The statute that says that you have to register as a sex offender, it specifies if you've been convicted of this crime, if you've been convicted of that crime, if you've been convicted of that crime, you have to register. So there's a list of convictions. If you've been convicted of one of those, you have to register. Well, Jessica's law created these new offenses, and the legislature did not include Jessica's law offenses on the list of sex offender registry crimes. So in 2008, when the law was passed, the DA's office immediately said, you made a mistake. You've got to include Jessica's law offenses on the sex offender registry list. It's 2010. The legislature still has not fixed that. So the DAs, we can't do it at the DA's offices on our own. We need the legislature, but I am baffled why the legislature cannot immediately. And you know what sometimes happens is somebody tacks it onto another bill and it has to do with other things. Just make this.
And that in and of itself, just on a political note, should be entirely illegal. There should be a law that's going to be deliberated, going to be passed or defeated, and it stands by itself and nothing else is tacked on it.
Right.
Because it's that tacking on, and we do it with budget as well,
Right.
tacking on all these other things with the budget as well. Shouldn't even be allowed. Get rid of it. We do it in our own state, we do it in our federal government, and it should be just
Well, there's a bill
out the
pending.
window.
There's a bill pending to fix this sex offender registry. Let's make Jessica's law crimes against the worst child sex abusers. Let's make them sex offender registry eligible. That bill has been there for 2 sessions, and it hasn't been passed, and I don't know why.
Well, in